Korean military jeep does something unprecedented. It doesn't slow down for the checkpoint, it accelerates. Behind the wheel is Oh Chong-song, a 24-year-old soldier. He is driving straight toward the military demarcation line, the invisible border that separates North and South Korea. For decades, this border has been the quietest, yet most dangerous place on Earth. But today, that silence is about to break. The Jeep crashes into a ditch. Oh jumps out. He has seconds. He starts sprinting. His former comrades catch up. They don't hesitate. 4 North Korean soldiers draw their weapons, AK-47s and handguns. They fire 40 rounds directly at him. Bullets fly across the border, violating the 1953 Armistice Agreement. 5 bullets hit their mark. One pierces his lung, another shatters his shoulder. He collapses on a pile of leaves, just inches inside South Korea. He is alive, but barely. South Korean forces crawl out to rescue him. A US Black Hawk helicopter rushes him to a trauma center, but what the surgeons find inside his body shocks the world more than the bullets. Inside this elite soldier's stomach, a man who supposedly received the best rations in the country, doctors found dozens of parasitic worms. Some were 10 inches long, wriggling and feeding off his malnutrition. It was a biological message. If the elite are rotting from the inside, the rest of the country is already dead. Oh Chong-song survived, but his escape was an anomaly. He had a vehicle. He was at the only gate in the country that is sometimes open. For the other 25 million people trapped in the dark void of the North, there is no Jeep. There is no open gate. North Korea is not just a country. It is a fortress designed with a single purpose: to keep people in. If you were a citizen of North Korea today and you decided to run, where would you go? To the south? A minefield. To the east? An ocean that kills. To the north? A superpower that will send you back. This is the anatomy of the impossible escape. Let's look at the options. The most obvious route to freedom is arguably the shortest: the south. It is mere miles away, but the demilitarized zone is the greatest misnomer in military history. It is the most militarized strip of land on the planet, stretching 160 miles across and 2.5 miles deep. This zone is packed with an estimated 2 million landmines. That is 1 mine for every square foot of walking space. If you survive the mines, you face high-voltage electric fences, motion sensors, and automated sentry guns capable of detecting body heat from 2 miles away. Oh Chong-song escape was a miracle because he used a vehicle at a specific checkpoint. For a starving farmer on foot, this isn't an escape route. It's a suicide note. If you can't go through the land, why not go by sea? North Korea has coastlines on both sides, but the regime controls the boats as tightly as the people. Fuel is scarce. Engines are antiquated. Most fishing boats are wooden vessels that locals grimly call coffins. To escape, you need to sail far enough to reach international waters without being spotted by the Coast Guard, who have orders to shoot defectors on sight. Every year, dozens of these boats wash up on the shores of Japan. They are known as ghost ships. They contain no survivors, only the skeletons of those who tried to flee, or fishermen who drifted too far and starved to death. The sea doesn't promise freedom, it promises a slow, wet death. That leaves the north. Tucked away in the far northeast is a short, 11-mile border with Russia. It seems like a backdoor, but this is a geopolitical cul-de-sac. The terrain is frozen and harsh, but the real barrier is political. Russia and North Korea maintain a strict extradition treaty. If you cross into Russia and are caught by patrolmen, there is no asylum. There is no trial. You are simply handcuffed and handed back to the North Korean state police. Running to Russia is simply running in a circle. So the south is a minefield, the sea is a graveyard, and Russia is a dead end. This leaves only one option, the option taken by 99% of all defectors: the Yalu River, the border with China. It looks easy. In the winter, the river freezes solid. You can simply walk across the ice to the other side. You can see the lights of Chinese cities promising food, warmth, and anonymity. But this is the cruelest trap of all. Crossing into China isn't the end of the nightmare. It is merely the beginning of a 3,000-mile game of cat and mouse. For decades, the Tumen and Yalu rivers were the porous valves of the regime. During the famine of the 90s, thousands slipped across the frozen ice at night. They bribed guards with cigarettes or cash and simply walked into China. But that era is over. Since Kim Jong-un took power in 2011, the border has been transformed. What was once a riverbank is now a fortress. The regime installed miles of high-voltage barbed wire and motion sensors. But the biggest change isn't the hardware. It's the software. Border guards are now rotated, frequently to prevent them from building relationships with smugglers. The old bribe system has collapsed, and the orders have changed from capture to shoot to kill. Yet, let's assume you are lucky. Let's assume you dodge the searchlights, cross the ice, and step onto Chinese soil. You take a breath. You think you are free? You are wrong. You have just entered the world's most sophisticated surveillance state. China does not recognize North Korean defectors as refugees. Under a bilateral treaty, it classifies them as illegal economic migrants. This distinction is lethal. If the Chinese police catch you, they don't deport you to a third country. They send you back to North Korea. And for a defector, being sent back is often a death sentence. Hiding in China used to be possible. You could blend in with the large ethnic Korean population in the north. But in the age of AI and facial recognition, blending in is obsolete. China's Skynet surveillance system can track a face across a city in minutes. Defectors can't use public transport. They can't buy a train ticket. They can't go to a hospital. They are ghosts. They are forced to live in the shadows, entirely dependent on brokers, human smugglers who charge exorbitant fees. And this vulnerability breeds a darker industry. It is estimated that 60% of female defectors who cross into China fall victim to human trafficking. Without legal status, they are sold as wives to rural Chinese men or forced into the sex trade. They cannot call the police. To call the police is to turn themselves in. So staying in China is not an option. To survive, you must cross it. You have to travel 3,000 miles secretly across the entire Chinese landmass to reach the jungles of Southeast Asia. This is the Underground Railroad. To get from the freezing Yalu River to safety, defectors must travel nearly 3,000 miles south. They ride in the trunks of cars or on sleeper buses, terrified that a single ID check by Chinese police will end their lives. If they make it across China, they face the jungles of Laos. Here, the enemy isn't surveillance, it's nature. Defectors, often malnourished and exhausted, must hike over mountains and through dense rainforests. And finally, they reach the Mekong River. This river marks the border with Thailand. Thailand is the Holy Grail. Unlike China or Laos, Thailand does not deport defectors back to the north. Instead, they hand them over to South Korean officials. Once a defector crosses this river, they do something strange. They walk up to the nearest Thai police officer and surrender. They are arrested, tried for illegal entry, and then quietly deported to Seoul. The journey that started with a sprint across a frozen river or a dash through a minefield ends in a jail cell in Bangkok, waiting for a plane ticket to freedom. When they arrive in South Korea, they are free, but they are not home. They enter a society that is 70 years ahead of them. They have never used a credit card, never seen the internet, never voted. The South Korean government sends them to Hanawon, a mandatory resettlement center for 3 months to teach them how to live in the 21st century. But the hardest part isn't learning to use an ATM, it's the silence. Because while they are here eating rice and meat, they know exactly what is happening back home. The 3-generation punishment. Because they escaped, their parents, their siblings, and their children are likely being loaded onto trucks and sent to political prison camps. The regime does not just punish the defector, it punishes the bloodline. This is the true cost of escape. To leave North Korea is to accept that you may never see your family again, and that your freedom is paid for with their suffering. Oh Chong-song took 40 rounds to the body to escape. Others take the long way through China. But whether by bullet or by boat, escaping North Korea is not just a journey across a border. It is a journey from one world to another.